2040 petrol motorcycle ban expected. This one's from Visor Down. We'll link to some of the stories that we're covering in the description below. So do check out some of these sites. And this one is yet to be confirmed, they say. But apparently industry sources are suggesting the UK government is currently finalising plans to move the country away from petrol bikes by preventing sales of new petrol bikes from 2040. And I don't think this is particularly like new news. We always know that something like this will be on the horizon and follow after cars are sort of meant to go through the same situation. But of course, the idea is it's part of the government's commitment to net zero targets by 2050. Now, Visor Down is saying that it will probably be a phased approach. So by 2030, no new L1 motorcycles to be sold, and we'll get onto what that means in a moment. By 2040, no new L3 and up motorcycles to be sold. I then had to go and Google what L1 and L3 specifically means. L1 is light two-wheel powered vehicles, including mopeds. L3 is all two-wheel motorcycles that aren't the light ones. So basically that means little motorcycles by 2030, which makes sense, right? Because electric bikes are already more competitive, let's say, with that smaller capacity end of the market where you're just using them around town. They're low powered, so they're not chomping through the battery so quickly. And also, realistically, on those small bikes, you're more likely to be doing short journeys where you can charge up more often. So it seems more achievable. By 2040, though, all bikes, I mean, firstly, my career now has an end date. I need to figure out a way to retire by then. Yeah. And this podcast may have to morph into some weird sort of electric motorcycle situation. Yeah. But it does beg the question, mate, like, if in 2040 you can no longer buy a petrol bike, what are you going to do? Are you going to hang on to the bike you've got, your monster, and keep it going for as long as humanly possible? Or are you going to, on the last day that you can buy a new bike, just buy a brand spanking new, so you'll probably get as much life out? I mean, that might see you to the grave. Sorry, it's a bit morbid, but potentially if you buy something reliable, thinking of Yamaha, or do you just give up biking, or do you just accept it and start riding electric bikes?
No, I think for me, I did the maths in my head. I'm assuming most people listening to this are probably doing the maths in their head now. How old am I going to be at 2040? And I think I'm 53 was what I worked out. So 53, now still got a lot of biking in me, and my dad's still going into his 60s, so I'd be sad to kind of give it up completely. But then he is now, and I think this is true of a lot of people when they get to his age, and they've got more space to do it. You just collect and amass bikes, and he's doing that at a rate of knots. Some of them aren't even rideable. So I think for me, I'll probably, because I am my father's son, end up just collecting old tat like he has, and probably keep that Ducati. That Ducati will be in pieces, and it'll be that project where I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get it back on the road, and I never will. Yeah.
Sounds somewhat familiar.
Yeah, most likely, I think. That's the most likely scenario for me. But to be fair, it's a long time for them to improve the current spread or span of electric bikes, really, and give us something that really does pose a decent alternative. Because like you say, the one that makes the most sense and why they're doing it earlier is the smaller bikes, completely. I see that one, and you could do that, not now exactly, but, very, very soon you could probably get away with doing that.
Totally.
But yeah, the bigger bikes are the ones that pose a bit more of a complication. So we'll see. How about you?
I don't know, mate. I'm not sure I believe people when they say they'll just give up biking, because I think human beings are always going to want to catapult themselves at high speeds around the roads, or, it's just like anything like that. G-forces, adrenaline, be it bungee jumping, roller coasters, skydiving, driving fast cars, riding fast bikes, even on a push bike, like descending quickly is exciting and fun. And I think people are always going to want to do that. And faced with, the option of just not biking or riding something electric, which clearly in 15 years is going to be a lot more appealing. Sure. It'll have better range, better battery, be better to ride, should be lighter, there'll be more charging. And hopefully they find some way to make them as interesting and characterful. I think that's still going to be probably acceptable to a lot of people. Yeah,
exactly. If that's your only option, then they're not a bad option. They're really not that bad. It's just they need to iron out a few of the finer details like range and charging and stuff like that. But they've got time to do it, so we'll see.
I would miss the sort of variety, I suppose. I guess like riding bikes, one of the most interesting things to talk about and reviewing them is the engine and how it feels and the kind of soul of it and the way it makes you feel connected to the bike, and the sound obviously is one big thing that people would miss. But yeah, maybe there'll be more variety in the ways that they can be propelled. Hopefully.